like, can you talk a little bit more about your experience talking to the FDA? And one of the things I'm curious about was there like an air of trying to help, or like, do you feel in your heart and your soul, do you feel they were just trying to collect information, or do you feel like they actually cared when you were talking to them about the side effects of Cipro?
Um, I don't know. I don't think the woman that talked to me was really nice.
Okay,
So if she's ever listening to this, I don't want to say anything rude about her,
right.
that her intentions were something that she didn't mean, but I think she had a duty to protect the agency that she works for.
Hmm.
And she knew I was on social media. That's, how they found me. So obviously knew that she had to talk a certain way to me because I was just going to go back and blab it on social media, which I did. And so I'm not sure how much was genuine and how much was like human resources at a company, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're there to protect the people that work there, but you're really there to CYA for the company, right? You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that it was, but if you've seen my interviews, you know that it caught me so off guard. But I am very quick. I can't say quick on my feet anymore. I'm very quick in the brain, let's say.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
when you lay in bed and that's all you think about, like I was ready to go. Anybody is going to talk to me about anything. That's
right.
all I thought about. So and I made sure like a lot of my videos talk about the doctors, and I do acknowledge in my other videos too. It just depends what I'm talking about at the time. It's not just about the doctors, it's the whole damn system that's broken. And I say so many times, there's so many failure points in the process of prescribing fluoroquinolones from the FDA, the doctors, the pharmacists, and then to us. This whole chain that it goes, something is always screwed up along the way to make that person injured at the end, right?
Mhm.
Nobody talks. And, like I said to the FDA, like, you put out these black box warnings. How do the doctors know about them? How do people know about them? Because I didn't know about them. And I felt like I was fairly like up to date with stuff like a normal person. So if I didn't know it, chances are nobody else knows it. And, I talked about how that it wasn't just about the doctor. Yes, I was mad at my doctor for not following the guidelines that have been out for 6 years before I got sick. That specific one for permanent and disabling side effects. And but it wasn't just about them because the guidance that the FDA gives is if you experience adverse events from a fluoroquinolone, stop immediately and contact your healthcare professional. And it says healthcare professionals switch to a different antibiotic to finish off the infection.
Right.
That's all it says to doctors. So, first of all, shame on the doctor for not giving it as last resort, right? For prescribing it as first resort or second resort or third. The point
Mhm.
is, it's supposed to be last. So, shame on them for that. And then shame on the FDA for providing zero guidance to anybody other than give them a different antibiotic. Because now, according to their own literature from the FDA, this is a life destroyer. Like, I say a extinction level event when you get floxed, and they know that, and all the side effects are documented, and they don't have a solution. And so like she said to me, Talia, when people get as sick as you from the adverse effects, we don't know what to do. I'm
Mhm.
like, well, that doesn't make sense. Then why is it on the market if nobody has any idea how to treat it? And she said, because there are still a few infections that do not have alternatives. So until that happens, drugs will remain on the market. And then she told me, oh, if you raise a big enough campaign, and afterwards I'm thinking, me? Why
Yeah.
do I have to do it?
Yeah.
Especially back then, I couldn't even see. So she's like, if you raise a big enough campaign, then you can like go to the FDA and we can put certain measures in place to further protect you, like making the doctors sign something that they acknowledge all these adverse effects before they prescribe it to you, making doctors sign off that they've been trained.
Hmm.
So they acknowledge that the communication wasn't the best. They put out the warnings. A lot of times some doctors see them at the beginning and then never look at them again. Some doctors don't see them at all. So they acknowledged there was a gap there. The fact that she told me that was nice, but obviously it was obvious because doctors don't know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that. And then she said, I'm very sorry for what has happened to you. I'm very sorry that, it wasn't prescribed as last resort. But everything you do going forward, she said to me, isn't for you. It can only be for everybody else. I
Oh
said,
my gosh.
yeah.
Wow.
I said, I know that. And
Yeah.
that's her way of telling me, like, I'm probably screwed. Like for
Right.
however long, like,
Right.
it isn't for you. Meaning I wasn't mad because I knew she was telling me the truth and I understood the realization of it. And I said, I know. And
Yeah.
that's enough for me. I'm just going to keep going to make sure that this doesn't happen to other people. And if your warnings don't get fixed and if the doctors aren't doing anything, you start from the bottom up,
Right.
grassroots. You do these videos, you all this stuff. And obviously, what I'm doing is working to some degree because people are messaging me almost every day. You saved my life. I didn't take Cipro. I asked for an alternative.
Hmm.
And again, for everybody watching this, my message is never to not take medication you need. It's also not to never take a fluoroquinolone because sometimes there are no other options. But the
Hmm.
point is if your doctor is prescribing you a fluoroquinolone antibiotic for any reason, and it's not last resort, they are doing you a huge disservice. So you just need to ask for that. You need to be your own advocate and ask for an alternative if there is one. If they tell you there isn't one, ask to see the data because sometimes doctors just say there isn't one, you have to take it because they don't want to deal with it.
Hmm.
But, there usually are alternatives. So,
Right.
I mean, that's my thing. I get a lot of flack for people saying, oh, you're telling people not to take their medicine. Nope, that's not what I'm saying. I'm
Mm.
saying ask for an alternative and be aware of the dangerous side effects. Then you can make your own healthcare decision. If you want to take it as first line afterwards, you want to take it 10 times after you know all this. That's your decision. I'm at least, providing you with the information that I didn't have. If
Yeah.
I saw permanent and disabling side effects because of a UTI, potentially permanent, no way am I going to risk all that for a stupid UTI. I would have never taken it. And that's what makes me so angry today. And people, they have no idea about this. Doctors, pharmacists, and this is the part that I cannot wrap my head around. Pharmacists saying, I've been a pharmacist for 20 years. I never heard of such a thing. And if anybody doesn't believe me, they can go look at my threads on social media, on TikTok or Instagram. I have some posts that have millions of views and thousands of comments, and you can see pharmacists and doctors saying they've never heard of any of this and
Right.
that they always prescribe these medications as first line. And then you have other doctors and pharmacists saying, oh my God, they shouldn't be doing this. It's such a huge disconnect. And
Right.
then guess what? We are the collateral damage of a broken
Exactly.
system. So,
Amen. Amen,
yeah,
sister.
yeah.
Snap, snaps, go off. Woo,
I
4th of
don't think
July.
snaps work anymore, but